Let's get started for 1 hour exciting new things going on in roofing with coatings. My name is Rob Quinarans. I'm the founder, CEO of Advanced Roofing. A little bit about my background. Grew up in Long Island, New York, and I worked on the roof through high school and college. I graduated in 1979 from the University of Arizona with a business degree, and my boss had me open up a branch in Atlanta, Georgia, Triple M Roofing. So I did that from 79 to 82, and then he moved me to Fort Lauderdale in 82 to take over an existing branch. And then in 83, I decided to start my own, borrowed $15,000 from my dad, bought a pickup truck, didn't really know what I was doing, but I figured I'd give it a shot. But due to some really good people around us and the team we built, we were able to grow it from one pickup truck to 7 branches today, over 750 employees. And below is the picture of my 2 sons and my grandson and some of our great associates. Uh, we also have some upcoming webinars. The HVAC, as you can see, on February 6th, March 6th, solar energy. We hear a lot about that with the new administration. It's not going anywhere. There's so much need for solar energy with all the AI and data storage. We don't have enough power, enough grids. So solar's not going anywhere, in our opinion. Then rooftop safety, get ahead of it. Don't let someone get hurt on your roof. Make sure you know all the legal requirements from OSHA and just good practices, best practices. And then roof asset management technology. We have our own advanced access that allows you to monitor your systems and your roofs so you don't get the maximum life out of it. And then the 10 top things property managers need to know, which is great. And then we get ready for hurricane season. What do you do before, during, after? Great seminars coming up. So really hope you can enjoy it. And they all get credits. So when I started, it was just a roofing company, and early on I realized that air conditioners on rooftops needed to be raised, and it was always a hassle getting a subcontractor. So in 1994, we bought a HVAC company. Today, it's doing awesome. We do chillers, we do everything. We raise our own AC, and controls the job, so we can control when they get raised, get them back up, so clients are happy. Also, in 2006, we got into solar. We saw that coming on, and we were the early adopters for solar. And today, we're the largest rooftops commercial solar, doing solar carports as well as rooftop solar. We have lightning protection. We really have a lot of emphasis on roof maintenance and repairs, and we'll talk about that later. How coatings can help you get your last have your roofs last longer. Today, we're Fort Lauderdale is our home base, and then we're Jupiter, Sanford, Tampa, Jacksonville, which I just arrived. We're having a client appreciation tonight in Jacksonville. So Kevin and Mike are up here with me with our staff, and just like to get together with our clients, ask them how we're doing and what else we can do. Fort Myers, they're doing great. And in Miami-Dade, Julian down there is doing a great job. So we're able to service people quickly from these locations. And in case of a hurricane or whatever, we're able to draw on resources from around the state, as well as Roof Connect, which I helped start over 20 years ago. We have a Roof Connect member in every metropolitan area, over 3,000 employees, and we're able to draw on them in an emergency situation if we need them, if we can't service them ourselves. So with that said, we also, every job's award winning to us. We take it very seriously. We have one of the largest quality control departments. We have more training than anybody in the country. Jessica Quinarans goes around the state training our project managers, our construction managers, our foremen. We have a big believer in continuous improvement. What does that lead to? Quality jobs, quality awards. You can see them up there. Many, many awards, too many to go through today. Make sure we stay on for a raffle at the end. We have some gifts go away. Some of our AR blankets could have used it this month in Florida. Very cold, huh? So, and then also some coffee or liquid drinking cups. So before we get started, I just want to talk a minute on what's going on with price increases. Obviously, there's a lot of talk of tariffs. Tariffs are not new. Section 301 tariffs have been since the first Trump term, about 28.7. They're talking about maybe going up to 60% or higher. We're not sure. And then there's also an increased aggressive application, anti-dumping legislation, and that's through the ITC, the International Trade Commission. They announced that they might be doing anti-dumping from China on some of these manufactured products that are used in our fire retardant and also polyiso standard insulation. So this one we really got to watch. They're talking about 177 to 270% increase, and then retaliatory export bans. As we tighten up our export controls and technology, we could see some of these coming in on PVC roof membranes. So that could be 50 to 75. These are some of our general increases that we're seeing from the manufacturers today, but this does not take into account any increases. Sometimes they'll start pricing in a little bit, anticipating they'll bring in more inventory and gradually go. So we're just watching very closely and stay informed on what's going on around the country with this. With that said, I'd like to introduce Clint Sockman. Clint came down from Ohio, family roofing business as a project manager, and then just really worked himself up through 18 years with us. He's now a partner. He is responsible for the solar energy division, and he still works with us in roofing. So, Clint, go ahead and take it away.
Thanks, Rob. Welcome, everybody. Good morning. Looking forward to talking to you today about roof coatings and how they can be deployed successfully on your projects. So we'll get started now. First thing, to talk a little bit about our learning objectives today. We're going to provide you with some budgeting tools on when to consider a coating, what roofs can qualify for roof coatings, the available solutions, the products that are out there, the strengths, the weaknesses, and when they're best used, application technologies, and then some tips and tricks for how to apply the perfect roof coating job. A little bit of background on roof coatings. Obviously, they are typically used to extend the life of an existing roof. In certain applications, they can be the primary roof, but generally speaking, we're using them as restoration applications to extend the life of an existing roof. One big advantage is they are tax deductible in the year of application. That's because they're looked at as a maintenance item and not necessarily as a new asset that has to be depreciated over a longer period of time. With our reflective roof coatings, they actually have the ability to lower our energy costs as well through keeping heat out of our building. Heat island effect is real. Our buildings absorb heat over time. That heat drives into the building, and our HVACs have to work harder. Deploying reflective coatings or even reflective membranes in the initial installation can keep that heat out of the building and lower our energy costs. And then we have the ability to extend these warranties. So we talk about the expense of replacing a roof being one of the largest expenses that a building owner ever takes on. If we don't have to replace that roof and we can go with a more cost-effective coating solution to extend that replacement period, that's obviously a win. The strengths of coatings, much less disruptive to the operation of your business or of your building. When we go into tearing off a roof down to the structural deck, you have noise, you have a lot of traffic on the ground with dumpsters and materials coming in and out for logistics, men and manpower. Coatings significantly reduce that, so a lot less disruptive to the operation of the building. Obviously, the expense we talked about, if we're not replacing that entire roof assembly that you see over on the right, so we're not looking at new insulation packages, cover boards, membranes, adhesives, and fasteners, it's much less expensive. We can, really isolate certain areas of a roof with coatings to address specific issues underneath chillers or around nuisance leak areas. Can be less expensive. And we talked about the advantages of this reflective properties. The challenges, not all roofs qualify for coatings. We talked about this in previous lunch and learns where the life cycle of a roof, we have this installation of a new roof. We want to maintain it properly over time and to get the most out of the life. And then we can look at these restoration projects to extend these warranties and lifetimes. But if we don't have properly maintained roofs, sometimes you just can't qualify. And what does that mean? If a roof has really passed its useful life, completely deteriorated, the reinforcing fabrics or the structural viability of that roof membrane is gone, coating it might not be an option. Smell and mitigation can also be a concern. We're going to learn about how these are formulated, and some of them do use solvents in their chemical formulations, and those smells can be a problem. We take a lot of care to cover your fresh air intakes, put in potentially carbon filters to mitigate these things, but they do have smell. And then insurance requirements, and this is a big one in Florida specifically these days. Um, Coatings, while they can give you a new warranty and they can keep your water out of your roof, it does not enhance the ability of that roof to survive a wind event. What does that mean? We're still reliant on those screws and plates that are holding down the insulation system, or that adhesive that's there glued to the roof deck. And so we don't get higher wind performance by adding coatings alone. And insurance companies often don't accept them. What building types can they be applied to? Almost anything, as far as different types of roofs. Metal, single ply, mod bit, and even built up roofs with gravel surfaces. We often sweep off the gravel and do a restoration, or what we call a resaturation, with different types of coating technologies over gravel roofs. So really any type of roof, it can be a potential candidate. A little bit about the different types of coatings that are out there in the commercial applications right now. There are several others, but these are the primary application types. And the one thing that we want everyone here to understand and see is not every coating is designed for every application, and they're very specific to their performance properties and when they can be deployed. And we can see that we really generally measure the performance of coatings in a few different ways. Reflectivity, that's its ability to reflect that heat off of the building and back out into the atmosphere. Its tensile strength, that's its ability to handle the movement of a building, the expansion and contraction that we have day to day through the heating and cooling of the roof, whether it's just natural heating and cooling or it's a very hot day and we have a rainstorm come through. That building actually shrinks, and it might not be visible to the eye, but it's very much happening. And tensile strength is the ability for us to withstand those movements, its ability to withstand ponding water, and then obviously the investment, the cost to put them in. And we have to weigh all of these performance characteristics when we go to deploy a coating. To dive a little bit deeper into acrylics, that was our lowest cost, if you remember, on that sliding scale from the previous screen. Acrylic is a water-based, cost-effective solution for a variety of roofs. It does perform well in most climates, and its strengths are really its low cost. It is water-based, it's easy to clean up, it is UV resistant, so it provides that really high reflectivity, and it goes down relatively fast and easy. We can put it down in one application pass or two to build up different millages. The biggest issue that we see with acrylics, and especially in Florida, which is a high moisture environment, we have rain many days a year. We have a lot of water sitting on roofs. It does lose its thickness over time in a natural rain. It actually sheds a little bit of its millage every time it gets hit with rain. It does have to be fully cured before we get hit with the rain. What does that mean? If it's just skinned over, a rain will still wash it out. If you get hit with a rainfall within the first several hours of putting in an acrylic coating, it will just end up down the drain. And it does not perform well in ponding water situations, back to its fact that it is water-based. If it does sit underneath water, it'll simply reabsorb that water. It'll detach and lose its adhesion to the roof, the underlying, roof membrane, and you'll lose it. So applicable building types: roofs with very good positive drainage, meaning we don't have water sitting on it for long periods of time, no ponding water, minimal foot traffic, and really where you're looking to maybe minimally extend the life of the roof or gain that reflectivity, an acrylic can be a good solution. Moving on to silicone. Silicone is probably the most popular product in the market right now. I would say it's been the most popular coating product for nearly 10 years, or maybe even a little bit more, since it's really gained mainstream traction. Silicones are moisture cured. What does that mean? We actually need moisture in the air to promote their curing. Until they're exposed to moisture, they don't cure out. That does not mean they're water-based. They're actually zero water inside silicone, so they're a solvent-based, and the majority of the mixture is actually solids, and we'll learn a little bit about what that means coming up. Typically speaking, silicones don't need a primer to go down. Now, that could be not true if there was an existing coating that we're going over that we need to make sure we get adhesion on, or some specific instances. But oftentimes we don't need a primer to get proper adhesion of a coating to the roof system that's there. Strengths of silicones, they weather better than any other coating with zero erosion. And we say almost zero. I actually think it's near zero erosion. When we look at how commercial grade silicones are formulated, they are 99% solids, very little solvent in there. And then as soon as they're exposed to that moisture, they cure out. They can be put down with a single coat application in the majority of instances. They can also be reinforced to provide greater tensile strength and stability. They perform extremely well in ponding water. They're essentially impervious to ponding water, meaning as long as that roof is dry and it's applied properly, you can sink it underwater and it'll be the same way it was today in 20, 50 years even. Might not be stuck to your roof in that long of a period of time, but silicone does carry a very long warranties. Challenges. It is a sticky membrane, so dirt and environmental, dust and debris tends to stick to the membrane over time, so it does lose its reflectivity. So its initial reflectance might not be as good as it is when it's aged. Um, Once you coat a roof with silicone, there's no other option moving forward. You got to go back with silicone. Nothing else sticks to itself. It does puncture easily, and we just talked about how it tends to gather dirt and lose reflectivity. Again, anything can be coated with silicones. We coat metal roofs with silicones occasionally, single plies, TPO, PVC, EPDM, modified bitumen. So it can really be deployed in a broad sense as far as types of roofs. Polyurethanes, moving on to polyurethanes, are often in traffic areas, in planters, things that have a high demand from either vehicular traffic, foot traffic, or overburdens. They're very impact resistant. If you've been into a parking garage and there was a coating on the deck, most likely it's a polyurethane coating. Strengths, they're extremely durable. They stay extremely clean, very resistant to ponding water, and they do stay white and reflective. Some of their challenges, they are very expensive. They're very rigid, meaning they have low tensile strength. That's why we see them going directly over concrete often. Concrete doesn't move much as well. So those two things line up very well. If you were to put this up on a roof with a lot of movement, it would almost certainly crack at expansion joints or areas where there's a lot of expansion and contraction. The one thing, they are moisture cured as well. Most polyurethanes, uh, they're very susceptible to moisture in the deck. Meaning, if we put this over a concrete deck and that concrete deck's not properly cured, the moisture tries to vent out through it, but because polyurethanes are impervious, it really doesn't have a way to vent out, so it pops the membrane, and you end up with what they call pinholing through the polyurethane coating, and that can allow for leaks. Very strong odors as well, with aromatic and both aromatic and aliphatic coatings. They're very strong odors. So while they're very good at certain tasks, and again, when we think polyurethanes, think traffic decks, think vehicular traffic, foot traffic, think planters and water features where you might have a lot of overburden. PMMAs, this is a two-part resin catalysted product. Stands for PMMA, stands for two-part methyl methacrylate based resin. So cures very rapidly once we put a catalyst in it. It takes an extreme amount of craftsmanship to manage that. In cold weather, we have to put more catalyst. In warm weather, we put less catalyst. We catalyze very specific amounts of this product to ensure we don't have waste, because it does have to be applied immediately inside the time frames. PMMAs are extremely durable. One of the unique things about a PMMA is it can actually be combined with modified roofing at the time of the modified roofings being installed to provide extreme performance in tough conditions, maybe around penetrations that have very like angular extruding angular steel coming into it. You can wrap that with modified, then coat it with PMMA, and it's essentially like a new roof. Or we do this often under chilling towers and cooling towers where there's going to be consistent water. Put down a modified roof membrane and then a PMMA over top of it as its secondary layer. Similar to urethanes, can also be used in planters and water features, plaza decks. The challenges we just talked about, highly technical, require catalysts, require a lot of craftsmanship. They do have high odor and high initial cost investment. But the applicable building types we talked about, areas with difficult flashings, plaza decks, and also jobs where high mobilization costs can can allow for additional expense on the initial installation. So when we're on a 300-foot tall condominium building and you don't want to have to get up there again because the crane costs are so expensive and you don't want to do this, you look at high performance coatings combined with modified bitumen roofs, you have a long-term solution that requires very minimal maintenance over a long period of time. SEBS, styrene, ethylene, butylene, styrene. It's a rubber coating product. In the times of COVID, when we had major supply chain issues, we actually saw silicone pricing go through the roof. If a bucket was $150, we saw it go all the way up to $500. It was limited supply. And SEBS had been around for a long time. It has very similar performance characteristics to silicone, and the pricing remained much more stable because the demand was different. And so this strengths of this product, high tensile strength, high reflectivity, water resistance, not very susceptible to vapor drive, that whole concept of vapor trying to push through the membranes. Some of the challenges, it does have higher VOCs, so it's not quite as high in solids content as silicones are. Limited color options, can't be tinted. And then, it does need to be put into and built up into multiple layers to develop thicknesses of millages. Applicable building types, most flat roofs can be coated with SEBS, PVC, metal, TPO, smooth surfaced BURs. I will say silicone has really come back to a stable place in the marketplace and is now on a cost competitive structure with SEBS. So we're seeing less deployment of SEBS coatings and more back to our silicones. One thing that we think it's important to understand before Jason gets in and really gets into the details is just knowing how the product's primary performance and what it's designed to do. I talked a lot about it here, but are you looking to achieve reflectivity, solar protection, or are we looking to provide waterproofing and a new roof system? We talk about PMMAs, we talk about polyurethanes. Those are waterproofing, damp proofing. They're meant to be in traffic areas or in planters. Silicone and SEBS kind of bridge that gap. They can provide both the reflectivity side, they can also provide the waterproofing side, and acrylics primarily tend to get into that reflectivity side. Otherwise, I think we've covered everything else in the bullet points, so I won't bore you with more. I talked about this in passing in different slides, but we want everybody to understand that coatings, one, commercial coatings aren't necessarily the coatings that you're able to find at your local hardware store. And they're really made up of two different components. They have solids, which is what's left behind after the coating dries, just like paint. And then they have their water and or their solvent. Water-based coatings are obviously cut with water, solvent-based coatings cut with solids or solvents. But when you look at a commercial grade silicone, 96% or even higher are the percentages of solids. And what does that mean? If you were to pour that bucket out, only 4% of the volume actually evaporates. The rest of it is left on your roof. Silicones from Home Depot, lower solid content. So it's a less product. You need to actually apply more buckets to get the same left on the roof. And I think the important message is, especially when we talk about durability, the thickness of the coating that goes down is a direct correlation to how durable it will be over a period of time, either from environmental wear and tear or traffic on the roof. So we want the majority of our product to be left on the roof. Commercial grade acrylics, because they are water-based, 69% solids. Your typical hardware store acrylics, 59% solids. But we are always looking to use commercial grade products If we put down 5 gallons of a commercial grade silicone, we're getting more product, more thickness, more millage, which is more durability on your roof comparative to non-commercial grade products that you might find at your local hardware stores. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Jason Carew. Jason's our branch manager in our Sanford office. He's been with us, I think it's over 16 years now, it might be 17, but he started, like a lot of us, as a family business. His father's a longtime roofing contractor in South Florida area, and he's come up through the business, now runs our operation in Orlando. So, Jason, take it over.
Thank you, Clint. Anyways, good morning, everybody. I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the applications and how to install some of these products. Clint mentioned the different types of substrates that the metal, the modifieds. I'm going to start this off and kind of give everybody a little quiz. Can we coat every type of roof that's out there? Yeah, so the majority of you got it right. The answer is false. Although Clint did talk about the different types of substrates, however, the roof system needs to be looked at. We got to do our homework prior to coating the different substrate, whether it's metal, whether it's modified, whether it's that BUR gravel, whether it's a single ply roof system. All of those substrates can be coated. However, we have to do our homework in regards to making sure that the components of the system are ready to go. What are we looking for? We basically are doing an assessment of the roof. We're looking at the age of the roof. We're looking at the slope. We're looking at the current condition of the components, everything from the substrate, whether it's a metal deck, a concrete deck, a wood deck, the insulation factors that are in between there. And then what we call in the roofing industry, the surfacing, which is the top layer, whether it's a single ply membrane, whether it's multi-ply modified, or whether it's that BUR gravel, or whether it's a metal structure. With each different type of roof system, there are some different methods that we need to go about in regards to doing our homework to see if a coating is going to work. Some of the things that we're going to do are look at the adhesion. We're going to look at the moisture content in the existing roof system, and I'm going to elaborate on that a little bit. So which kind of roofs can be coated? We talked about this. The single plies are basically just like they say, they're one ply. They come in different thicknesses, and then they're typically components of insulation or cover boards that are from the substrate up. The single ply membranes are TPO, PVC, EPDM. Every one of those has a different prep in regards to what we're doing. The EPDM is a black rubber. There is a lot of cleaning and some cleaning solvents that are involved, where the method is that whatever area you clean, they prefer that within a 24-hour period that you apply the coating over that area so it doesn't catch any more debris or dirt. That way it's on a clean substrate when you're putting the coating down. Metal roofs typically have rust. They require primers, rust inhibitor primers over the rusted areas. There's a lot of seams and hems that there's different products that the manufacturers require. They call them butter grades, if you will, or a thicker membrane coating that gets applied around these locations in order to reinforce, say, vertical pipes, plumbing stacks, wall joints, curb flashings, things like that. Those things get applied as well. And then modifieds, the prep work in getting all of the loose granules and making sure that the asphaltic areas that are exposed from the modified, the asphalt is a petroleum based product. It's gasoline based product, and it doesn't really comply with the coating ingredients, and really all of them. And what we utilize bleed blockers or primers to put a barrier in between the modified roof and the new coating that we're applying. This Clint mentioned earlier, basically what we're doing is 90% of the time when we're applying a coating, we're restoring the existing roof system. Some of those products that he talked about in regards to the PMMAs and the SEBs, those can be applied directly to concrete. He talked about planters. Planters are over-occupied space on a balcony where there's an air-conditioned space underneath where you don't want water coming in. Those areas, we do a lot of high-end coatings directly to concrete. The surface preparation is very intense with scouring and get it into a raw, bare concrete so the adhesion sticks well. In metal, what we talked about is identifying the rust. The particular picture up here in the top is a translucent skylight in a pre-manufactured building. These things can be pretty dangerous when you get an uncertified contractor that basically paints over these translucent skylights. They become very dangerous. The next person that walks up on the roof does not identify where this is and could have a potential to have a hazard of going through the building. So identifying those areas, either changing them out with a panel that is new and coating around it. And then we also talked about the ribs, the high ribs on this, the exposed fasteners. All those items get addressed prior to just going up there and start coating the roof system. The middle section is about modifieds. There's a lot of prep work in modifieds. Modified rolls come in 33 or 36 inches wide. And when you're getting longer term warranties, the top picture shows the width, and those laps, they require you to reinforce those laps with one layer of coating. And that picture there in the middle is basically what was done on a project that we did. It gets a little bit, it looks a little bit sloppy. However, that's reinforcing every vertical or horizontal lap on the modified. And then it goes back and it gets a second coat over the entire roof to make sure that the openings or the lap joints are reinforced first. And then the middle of the sheet is getting the entire application, whether it's, whatever the warranty periods are. Single plies are just basically larger sheets. They come in now they come up to 16 feet from what I've seen, but you get 10 and 12 and foot sheets. We still sometimes on the long-term warranties reinforce the laps. We're always reinforcing the verticals, the pipes, the penetrations, and on those systems as well during the restoration process. So here's when is my roof ready for a coating and when is it ready for a re-roof? So what we've provided here is a little bit of an analysis on some budgeting costs in regards to the different types of roofs coatings that Clint mentioned, all the way from the acrylic being the lower end cost and the PMMAs being the higher end cost. In this particular case, we've taken a 20,000 square foot building and we've given you some ranges here in regards to a $5 a square foot for an acrylic coating. And really that is based on probably anywhere on a 10 to a 15-year application. When you start getting up into a 20-year, the coating thickness and the product and the labor is a little bit more in regards to providing what Clint called the millage, the thickness of the coating in regards to getting a longer term warranty. The thicker the coating application, the longer term warranty that the manufacturer is going to provide. So this scenario here is basically kind of giving you an analysis if the roof qualifies, and I'll talk about what makes it qualify here in a minute. In regards to the cost from a re-roof at a $12 to $25 per square foot, and a cost to coat the roof at a $5 to $10 a square foot. In some cases, both of these offer 20-year warranties. Recover options, meaning putting another roof system over an existing roof system. The state of Florida allows you to install a secondary roof over a primary roof under some certain conditions. The bottom roof has to not be wet, and it has to be adhered to meet the uplift pressures for whatever territory it is in the state. Every location in the state has a different wind map requirement, and the bottom roof has to be adhered if it's on concrete. If we're doing it on a metal deck, we can reinforce the fastening on a re-roof. As you can see in this example, for a 20,000 square foot roof, you can get up to $500,000 on re-roofing the building. Where on a coating option, you're just at a max of a 20-year warranty with a high-end coating at $10 a square foot, you'll be at right around $200,000 for that. Wanted to bring this up. These are some benefits for people on this webinar that are in these locations. The JEA is the Jacksonville Electric Authority, and the OU is the Orlando Utilities Commission. These are two entities in the state that are still offering rebates to owners in regards to applying roof coatings. Realistically, what they're looking for is the reflectivity. The products that we talked about a lot of them are waterproofing, but in these particular instances where the rebates are looking for energy efficiency. What we're doing is most of these coatings are a white reflectivity. They have a high SRI value, which is a solar reflectivity index, somewhere pushing over 90% reflectivity. And that's the benefit that the energy companies are looking for. They know that if you're applying this to your roof, that they're going to give you some rebates back to your power bill. I'm not sure if they cut you a check. I'm not sure how that works, but they know that you're increasing the energy efficiency of the building and not having to run the air condition as much. And they provide rebates. Typically, these are over occupied air conditioned space. You will not be able to get a rebate on a big warehouse that has no air conditions in it because you're not burning any electricity in there by putting air conditioning into it. The rebates apply to air conditioned space that you have coated over. So a lot of commercial buildings have offices up front, warehouses in the back. We break that section out and we can help you provide the applications to these energy companies, JEA and OUC, in order to get you the rebates. There are links at the end of the presentation that you can click on to get more information about that to both sites, and you guys can type your information in the chat. We can get you some additional information on what would apply for your particular building. All right, getting into the nitty gritty as far as putting the coatings down. We talked about all different types of substrates. We talked about all different types of coatings, the acrylics all the way to the PMMAs. What do we need to do to make sure that my roof qualifies? There are quite a few things. The first thing that we're doing is looking at the adhesion of the existing membrane and the coating. Is it going to stick to it? A lot of roofs that we go on already have coatings that are on them that have been applied by somebody else that they're trying to stop a leak, or they're trying to basically restore the roof. Getting up there, there's preparation where you have to power wash the roof, get it into a certain condition, and then do an adhesion test of the coating that we're going to install and make sure it sticks. There's a testing application standard in the state of Florida, which is a TAS protocol of how an adhesion test is supposed to be performed. There is a moisture survey that needs to be completed as well. A moisture survey is basically identifying the moisture in the component of the roof system, not on the surface, but everything from the surface down to the substrate, all the way down to the metal or the concrete. We have to identify the moisture in there as well. Clint mentioned that some of those membranes will blister and pinhole. What happens is we're taking your roof. There's a term called monolithic. We are coating the entire roof system, and we're basically putting a monolithic layer from one end to the other and encapsulating this roof. We are not venting it in any portion. So if there's any moisture in the roof, what's going to happen is it's going to find its way out, and it's going to cause blisters and cracks in the coatings that we have applied if the moisture is not identified up front. That is 90% of what we see with failures are those two items: the adhesion to the surface or the moisture in the substrate, which causes coatings to fail. If we identify those areas up front, make sure that the product that we're using sticks well. A lot of times it might require a primer. And if we make sure that we've removed all the moisture out of the existing roof by cutting out the old roof system, taking out the wet insulation, installing new dry, and putting back membrane and then coating it, at that point, we're going to get the best results on our coating moving forward. So here are some pictures of some products or some failures of what happens when you just get up there in regards to opening up a bucket, taking a water hose, spraying it down, thinking the substrate's clean, and start painting. That is not the way to do this. There is a lot of homework that needs to happen, like I said, and these are some results of what happens. The one on the right is an EPDM roof. I talked to you guys about this being it's rubber. It's a very elastic rubber that basically is like the back of a cat's tongue. It's very abrasive. It holds a lot of dirt, and the preparation requires specific cleaners from the manufacturers before the coating gets installed. Over here on the left bottom is on a metal roof. These are some examples of how the rust was not primed prior, and it starts chipping away at the rust, and it just doesn't stick. It doesn't have any adhesion. The top left one there is ponding, right? We want to take care of the ponding water as best as possible. There are products that were mentioned in regards to the silicone performing under ponding water, but if there's anything that we can do prior in the roof substrate or slope to minimize the ponding, we want to do that. We do not want to just apply silicone coating over areas that are 2 and 3 inches deep where the water doesn't go away for weeks on end. We would like to increase the slope. There's some products that we can use. There's insulation, tapered insulation that we can install in order to push the water to the drains to get this roof where it has minimal ponding. So then the coating can be installed after that. Talked about moisture surveys. Moisture surveys is a state requirement. It's also a manufacturer requirement. It's a state requirement in South Florida and the HVAC in regards to providing a certified TAS. It's a 126 is the number. It is a protocol in regards to how the roof is tested to identify whether there's moisture in it. A lot of the manufacturers require this be done as well. They want to make sure that the contractor has done their due diligence to identify if there's any moisture in the roof, that it's been dried out prior to applying their product. There is a recent change in the Florida Building Code in regards to what was called the 25% rule. Previously, if more than 25% of a roof section, that's a little bit confusing. A roof section could be from an expansion joint to the wall. If more than 25% of the roof section was saturated or damaged, that the entire section had to be replaced. That has now changed, and is roofs that are over 25% wet that were installed after 2007, we can just take out those wet areas that are identified and replace them. So it's a little bit of a cost savings to the owner. In regards to this bill being passed, if there are sections that need to be replaced and it exceeds 25%, we can still take them out if the roof was installed per the Florida Building Code 2007. The latest and greatest in moisture surveys. What we offer in our company are drone thermal imaging. We've invested in the last year in 8 thermal drones and licensed 12 pilots through FAA courses to do this. We're not only utilizing it for applications for coatings, which is primarily one of the benefits. How do I know whether or not my roof is going to accept the coating? We have the ability to take a drone, fly it over the building, and get a thermal imagery of how much moisture is in the deck. There are some other methods that we utilize. We do infrared cameras. We also have what's impedance meters, which are certain types of tools that you can run back and forth, and they reflect the moisture back into a impedance meter, and it reads whether or not there's any moisture from the substrate up over the device. So offering the thermal imaging, the drone survey, and being able to identify whether or not it can be coated is basically a leg up that we're providing. There are also instances that we utilize the drone in regards to identifying leaks in a system and a brand new roof. The middle roof there is a case study in regards to city furniture. This is a huge project down in Lakeland, right outside Lakeland in Plant City that we installed, and we continuously had a leak, and it's like finding a needle in a haystack. We basically were able to take this drone, fly it over, and identify the pinpoints of the hot areas. The red areas that come back are the hot areas, which are identifying that moisture's in there. And we utilized the drone to identify where this leak was coming in over and over again, and we were able to stop it. So we're also utilizing this for some of our what we call preliminary takeoffs, identifying the condition of a roof when somebody is looking to either get a coating or a re-roof. So we've implemented this technology into our portfolio here at Advanced, and have some pretty detailed reports that we can offer to our customers as well. These items here, these are some quality control items that need to be utilized when you're applying the coating. So we've already done our homework. We've done the adhesion test. We've done the moisture survey, and the roof is ready to be, it's a prime candidate to install a coating. We've identified the proper coating, whether it's an acrylic, a silicone, a polyurethane, and we provided the customer with a proposal. They've signed it. They're ready to go, and they were getting this 20-year coating on there. So how do we know it's going to be put down per the manufacturer's requirements? We're utilizing these tools here in the field in order to make sure that what we're doing meets the manufacturer's recommendations as far as installation. Gridding the roof is probably the number one thing. What I mean by that is, in roofing terms, everything is a square. 100 square feet, a 10-foot by 10-foot section is considered a square in roofing terms. What we do is the manufacturer provides us with gallons per square of their product to be installed per the warranty periods. So typically, in a 10-year warranty, they like to see 1.5 gallons of product in that 10-foot by 10-foot section. When we grid the roof off, we grid it off in 10-foot by 10-foot increments. Therefore, the applicators, our technicians in the field, understand how much product needs to go into that 10-foot by 10-foot section. That is the most important thing. And then from there, once they grid the roof off, there's some of these tools. One of them is the wet mill gauge. That's that center picture, the guy with the glove on. When the product is wet, he takes this little gauge and he sticks it down into the coating, and it comes back and it reads right on this tool how thick the coating is when it's applied wet. Once it cures, we utilize this caliper, which is the second one over, which is called a slit test. Basically, what they're doing is they're cutting the cured coating in typically like a 1 or a 2 inch, and they're testing the thickness, the mill's thickness, typically anywhere from 25 up to 45 mils thick, depending on the warranty period. So how thick is the coating being applied when it's wet, and how thick is it once it cures? That is a tool that all of our technicians carry, and they do daily slit tests after the product cures as they're moving along in installing the product. One of the biggest ones is just a regular thermometer. A thermometer, which is an infrared gun, they shoot it down on the membrane to make sure that the conditions in summertime here, you can get membranes up to 125, 130 degrees. Some of the manufacturers have requirements of their product not going down on it's almost baking the product as soon as you put it down on the roof. So there is a variance in regards to the surface temperature, and that is another tool that we utilize. A hydrometer is utilized in regards to how wet it is in the atmosphere. We have that tool in order to verify whether or not the humidity is going to affect the product when it's applied. So all of these things are utilized by the applicators in the field to make sure that we're installing the product according to the recommendations of the manufacturer, and we can obtain the warranty. We don't want to have any hiccups at the end and have to battle with how thick the membrane is in certain areas. We basically are doing this quality assurance as we move throughout the project. Talk about warranties, right? We did a little bit you can run into some instances where a customer has a new roof. It's about 15 years old. They have a 20-year warranty, and they're looking for extend the life of the roof. We've done all our homework. The roof is a candidate. How are we doing warranties? What's the warranty terms? Typically, on every manufacturer, the warranty terms are based off the thickness of the coating that we're applying. So there are some acrylics that you can get 20-year warranties on. The slope has to be right. The drainage has to be right. The substrate has to be right. And there's also silicones that you can get 20-year warranties on. So there's some guidelines from the manufacturers as far as the prep work, what I call the butter grid, or what they call their liquid flashing products that need to be installed around the penetrations, the drains, the scuppers, the pipes, the walls, the curbs. All that stuff gets reinforced first, and then the thickness of the coating. Clint mentioned we can coat BUR, which are gravel roof systems, after we remove the gravel off the roof. I've seen some of those coatings go down to 8 and 10 gallons per 100 square feet. They do take a long time to cure, but that's the requirement from the manufacturer in order to get you a 20-year warranty. So all of this is, and we provide options, right? When we're giving you proposals, we can say, here's what a 10-year is, here's what a 15-year is, here's what a 20-year is. Different types of warranties, right? We talk about just a material warranty. That is just basically the manufacturer identifying that if their product fails, they will supply you with additional material to fix it. We also provide labor and material warranties, which come from the manufacturers. Those are considered no dollar limit warranties, where if any of those fail, the material, the application, or you're covered for the material and the labor to get get it resolved. Advanced Roofing provides a workmanship warranty. It's pretty much a requirement by manufacturers in order for us to identify that we've installed the product correctly. We have their manufacturers do some inspections, periodic inspections, and they always do a final inspection to verify that the roof is 100% prior to providing the owner with a warranty, whether it's a 5, 10, 15, or 20-year workmanship warranty. So you got your roof installed, you got your coating installed, you have a warranty, it's 10, 5, 15 years, whatever it is, you got to maintain it. We use the analogy of buying a brand new car off the car lot. You got to walk away and you got to change the oil and rotate the tires and change the transmission fluid. You got to do the same thing to a roof, or the manufacturer requests that you identify. These are some things that we look at. We'll walk the roof once a year, identify the issues. We actually have a scope of work in our coatings preventative maintenance, where we apply 10 gallons of coating and over the areas. And what we identify is we're identifying areas that have look like they're degrading. We take some slit tests. So our maintenance program is not only identifying the items here on the left, but we're actually applying 10 gallons of coating additionally once a year to the distressed areas of the roof in order to maintain the roof on a preventative maintenance program. Typically, those maintenance programs run anywhere between, I would say, 6 and 12 cents a square foot after the initial install. Now, typically, the manufacturer would like to see that done once a year. Just wanted to throw this in here. This is a current project that we're working on in the Jacksonville area. This is the ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena. We are coating 3 areas of this roof with a silicone system that is got a 20-year warranty. It is a 142,300 square foot on 3 different levels. Probably one of the larger coating projects that we've ever done here in our company, and I just kind of wanted to throw it in. At the end, we're going to provide them with a 20-year watertight warranty, and they also are getting a maintenance program in order for us to go up here and in this roof. 10 gallons a year is not going to get you very far. I think our maintenance program with them is a little bit more, maybe 50 gallons a year. But in regards to maintaining this roof and extending the life, this was a single ply membrane that was 18 years old. we got with the city and we're able to come up with a resolution here as far as how to extend it. And this was the most cost effective for them. So right here, this is our business development team. Every one of these people, we talked about the 7 locations in the state. Every one of these girls are somewhere in the state. If you are looking for some information on getting some coatings or getting some free roof inspections, or getting some drone surveys or just anything that our company offers, here's the information. This slideshow will be available on our website probably within the next 72 hours. You can go there and watch it again and get this information. If you're looking for something, you can just put your email in the chat. We'll reach out to you as well.
All right, Jace, great job. Just a couple questions on insurance. There's some advertisement going on Fox and others about the coating company that says, if your insurance canceled you or makes you put a roof on, don't do it. Call us. That is not a true statement. Most insurance companies will not take a coating based on that, just coating it, because they're concerned about wind uplift. So you have to do a wind uplift test, and then sell it to the insurance. But most are not taking a coating as a insurance solution to wind uplift and insurance. But call us on specific jobs that you have, and we can make that determination. And if they're telling you you need to replace a roof and it's only 15, sometimes 20, we're able to go out and help you inspect it, write letters, and we've been very successful with getting insurance companies to keep that roof. We have roofs that are 30 years old and never had a problem, and they're telling them to re-roof. We go and write a letter that's at least 5 years left, and they accept that. So if any of those services you're needed, we're here to help. It's our 42nd year in business, and we have a lot of experience. As you can see, our title, Experience Matters, and that came up from our customers because they all said the same thing when my marketing company did that. Great experience working with advanced team of professionals. So thank you for joining, and make sure you get to join our next 5 seminars, and appreciate it, and have a great, beautiful day.